Hello, friends. Today there is a new video for you. Subscribe and be the first to learn new facts about the history of interesting photographs. Today I will tell you another interesting story. Migrant Mother, 1936. This photograph was taken during the Great Depression, a global economic crisis that began in October 1929 with the US stock market crash and lasted until 1939. The consequences of the Great Depression were terrible. A huge number of people became impoverished, many people lost their jobs, and many died of hunger. And this photograph is called iconic because it depicted the plight of the people of that era. The whole world learned about the woman depicted in the picture. Thanks to her, several thousand people were saved, but it did not bring any relief to the mother of many children. The main character of the famous photograph was Florence Owens Thompson. She was born into the Cherokee tribe in Oklahoma. At the age of 17, Florence got married. By the age of 31, when the woman was already expecting her sixth child, her husband died of tuberculosis. To feed herself and her children, Florence worked several jobs, devoting no more than a couple of hours of sleep. A few years later she met a new husband and had 3 more children with him. In March 1936, the entire family was looking for work on the plantations. Their car broke down near the city of Nipomo, California, in the vicinity of which pea pickers were working. 3,500 people were stranded due to a bad harvest year. When Florence and the children were setting up their tent, Dorothea Lange saw them. Dorothea Lange is an American photographer and photojournalist, one of the most important representatives of documentary photography. While on assignment for the Resettlement Administration, she also found herself in the city of Nipomo. Dorothea Lange had a camera with her and took several photographs of Florence and her children, including this most famous photograph from this series. The photograph shows a seated woman with a distant look, resting her head on her hand. 2 of her children rest their faces on her shoulders, hiding from the camera. She holds the 3rd child, almost invisible in the photograph, on her lap. When Dorothea developed the film, she was shocked by the hopeless melancholy and doom that showed in the woman's gaze. The photo was later published in the San Francisco News. "Look into her eyes," that's what the caption to the photo said. The picture had such an effect that a few days later help arrived in Nipomo with 9 tons of food. But by that time Florence's family was already far away. In 1978, one of the journalists found the Thompson family. At the same time, the famous photograph received its current name, Migrant Mother. As it turned out, all these years Florence harbored a grudge against the newspapers and the government, who made her image an anonymous, suffering image of the era, and she was not given a single cent for it. The only time the Thompson family made itself known publicly was in 1983. Florence Owens Thompson suffered a stroke and was diagnosed with cancer. The children were no longer able to pay for expensive treatment and turned to the public for help. In a short period of time, $35,000 were collected for Florence's treatment and 2,000 letters were received. But by that time the woman had already died. Her tombstone is engraved with the inscription, Florence Leona Thompson. Migrant Mother, a legend of the power of the American spirit of motherhood. Although Thompson's identity remained unknown for 40 years after the photographs were taken, the photographs themselves, especially when published in a newspaper article, gained enormous notoriety. The photograph Migrant Mother acquired an almost mythical status, becoming a kind of symbol of the era. In November 2002, Dorothea Lange's personal copy of the photograph was sold at Christie's for $141,500. In October 2005, an anonymous buyer at Sotheby's paid $296,000 for 32 rediscovered unretouched copies of the photograph. In 2016, Time magazine included the photograph Migrant Mother in its list of the most influential photos of all time. Thanks for watching and see you next time.